Hello and welcome to a new episode of 7 Facts. If you love geography and history, subscribe right now, I promise it'll be worth it. Shout out to Gabriel Frund for helping me out with the research for this video, it's greatly appreciated. The Republican Canton of Geneva is probably the most famous of all the Swiss federal states. It lies in the southwestern corner of the country, surrounded by France, which explains why French is the predominant language here, followed by English, Portuguese, Spanish and German. This canton is considered to be the most cosmopolitan place in Switzerland, a bustling center of Europe. So let's explore it in depth, shall we? This is the birthplace of the internet. Yep, you heard that right, Geneva is where it all began. I know, the internet evolved slowly since the 60s, when intricate computer networks were starting to develop in the United States. I know. But it was in Geneva that this project took the next step and turned it into this thing that connects us all, the World Wide Web. Without hypertext, HTML, URLs and HTTPs, the internet wouldn't be a thing for the general public. And the World Wide Web was born at CERN, just outside of Geneva. It was Sir Tim Berners-Lee who first had the idea to use Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP, to communicate between different servers on the internet. On Christmas Day 1990, Tim and his colleague Robert Kellyot breathed life into the World Wide Web by sending a page from CERN via the internet. And the rest is history. Before we get to the next fact, I'd like to ask you one thing. This video isn't sponsored, none of them are so far, so perhaps you'd consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron. If you still enjoy my content, go visit my Patreon page and help this channel out. Okay, with that said, let's go to fact number 3. The capital of the Canton of Geneva is Geneva. This is truly a global city, a financial center and a worldwide center for diplomacy due to the presence of numerous international organizations, including the headquarters of many agencies of the United Nations and the Red Cross. In fact, Geneva hosts the highest number of international organizations in the world. Despite being a city of just 200,000 people, Geneva is ranked as the world's 15th most important financial center, and it's among the most livable cities on the planet, despite being one of the most expensive cities in the world. Without a shred of a doubt, this is one of Europe's most important cities. Possibly the most famous natural landmark in the canton is Lake Geneva, known locally as Lac Le Mans. It's one of the largest lakes in Western Europe and the largest on the course of the river Rhône. It was also the site and cause of one of the biggest tsunamis in European history. Yes, a tsunami in Central Europe. It happened in 563 AD, when, due to a large landslide, a wave 8 meters high swept across the lake, causing havoc. Today, Le Mans is a major tourist destination and a wildlife hotspot. But during the 1960s, due to human activity, the lake became a cesspool. The pollution was so bad that swimming in the lake was actually dangerous. Visibility was nearly zero, and all species of fish were very nearly wiped out. Thankfully, this situation changed dramatically, and today the lake has almost fully recovered. One of the most important and beneficial international organizations is the Red Cross. Known today as the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Movement, it was founded in Geneva in 1863 by Henri Douan and Gustave Moinier with the purpose of protecting the life and dignity of the victims of armed conflicts. Prior to its founding, there were no organized army nursing systems for casualties and no safe and protected institutions to accommodate and treat those who were wounded on the battlefield. So creating such an organization was, and still is, a very big deal. It was during the Geneva Convention that the institution was established. And if the Geneva Convention sounds familiar, it should. There were 4 such conventions held in Geneva, which extensively defined the basic rights of wartime prisoners, established protections for the wounded and sick, and established protections for the civilians in and around a war zone. For this and other reasons, Geneva has been nicknamed the peace capital of the world. Geneva has historically been considered a Protestant city and was known as the Protestant Rome due to it being the base of Jean Calvin, founder of Calvinism and a leader of the Protestant Reform. Jean Calvin went to Geneva in 1536 and the city became a stronghold of Calvinism. Saint-Pierre Cathedral was where Calvin and his Protestant reformers preached. During his ministry in Geneva, Calvin preached over 2,000 sermons, thus spreading his teachings with speed. Today, there is an estimated 75 to 80 million Reformed Christians, whose faiths are based in the teachings of Jean Calvin in Geneva. One more cool thing about Geneva is that it's the headquarters of CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Established in 1954 in Meran, the organization operates the largest particle physics laboratory in the world and is the host, operator and builder of the famous Large Hadron Collider. And as I mentioned before, it's where the World Wide Web was born. To understand just how much data is generated here, in 2016 alone, CERN created a mind-boggling 49 million gigabytes of data to be analyzed. The amount of science that's going on here is hard to describe, and this video is way too short to get into this subject. But I highly recommend researching it on your own, it's fascinating stuff. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Leave your comments downstairs, and don't forget there's a Patreon page where you can support this channel. I hope to see you next time, bye.